Also, like Rainer Maxwell saw how critical mortgage-backed securities were to the future of the UC market and to his company's bottom for Fannie selling mortgage-backed securities was a way not only to get risk of its outbooks, but to earn big fees. Mortgage-backed securities represented opportunity for Fine to become even more central to the housing market that it already was, because the G's were the natural middleman between mortgage gold and Wall Street. If Fannie grabbed all of that role and keep it for itself, a profitable future was hazarded. In public settings, Reining and Maxwell were generous in their price for each other. I think he is a genius, synonymous with White Wall Street, strengths into Morton's financial. Maxwell told an odyssey of savings and what excuse in one night 184. David, as much as I understood the implications of what I was trying to do, says Rainer today, he was my ally. We needed them, and they needed us, but under the surface, it it was always an unnecessary alliance. Rainer was part of Wall Street. No one on the street wanted to cede hung chunks of possible profit to the Keyes. David and I joked. Rainer had no links. The intellectual argument was, what would what should the government do? What should it be hard to win at? A person close to Rainer put it more bluntly. Despite his alliance with Fannie and Freddie was against them, he wanted Fannie and Freddie to have at best a general. Maxwell wanted to prevent Wall Street from shunting Fannie Mae out, and he wanted to establish the primacy of the GCs in this new market. For all the noble talk about helping people buy homes, what ensued was really a fight about money and power. What made Fannie and Freddie indispensable in the new mortgage market was one simple fact: the mortgage they guaranteed were the only mortgage investors wanted to buy. After all, the warranty meant that the investors no longer had to worry about the risk that homeowners would default, because Fannie and Freddie were assuming tax risk. For some investors, paper was the only type of mortgage they were even allowed to buy. In many states, it was against the law for pension funds to purchase private mortgage backed securities, but it was perfectly okay for them to buy mortgage securities backed by the GC because those were treated like obligations from the government. States, meanwhile, had blue sky laws designed to prevent investment fraud, meaning that Wall Street firms had to register with each of the 50 states to sell mortgage-backed deals, a process they had to repeat on every single deal. Mortgage-backed securities used by the were exempt from blue sky laws in 1977 in one of the earliest efforts to put together a mortgage-backed securities deal. Salomon Brothers developed a bond made up of Bank of America mortgage. It was a bust. After that, almost the early deals were ones in which Fannie and Freddie were the actual issuers of the mortgage-backed securities, while Wall Street was essentially the marketer. Even before the advantage of mortgage-backed securities, Fannie and Freddie had the reputation of being difficult, prickly, and willing to throw their weight around at senior level. According to one person who had regular dealings with them, it didn't matter. They could be shut out of the market because they were the market. By June 1983, the government agencies had used almost billion in mortgage-backed securities, while the purely private sector had used only 10 billion. That same year, Larry Fink and First Boston pioneered the very first so-called collateralized mortgage obligation, or CMOs, a mortgage-backed security with three radical different stage: one with short-term 5 years debt, a second with medium-term 12 years debt, and a third with long-term 30-year debt. Fink still keeps on his desk a moment from the deal. It has a translate or memorialize the three teach, but as usual the actual issuer of the mortgage wasn't First Boston, it was Freddie Mac. He say were the enable. Rainer will later explain. They wound up having to be the point of the spear. The fees from these deals were plentiful, to be sure. The sheer excitement of building this new market was exhilarating, but there was something about being Superman to the GCs with all the built-in advantage that come with their quasi-government status that stuck in Rainer's craw. He wanted the role of the GC to be radically reduced, and if the only way he could get that done was to Washington and get some last chance, then that's what he would do. Thus began the cute war between Leo Ranieri and David Maxwell. Ranieri had strong ties to the Reagan administration and knew he would find receptive audience there. Like every president, Ronald Reagan professed to stand squarely on the side of the American homeowner. But David Stockman, his budget director, Larry Kudlow, one of Stockman's key deputies, and a handful of authors didn't believe that homeownership was necessarily synonymous with feminism. In particular, they didn't like the implied government guarantee. As market-oriented conservatives, they believed that the private sector was perfectly capable of using mortgage-backed security without Fannie and Freddie. In one night, one night,